This show is sponsored by NatureBox. Order great tasting, healthy snacks right to your door. Forget the vending machine and get in shape for summer with healthy, delicious treats like everything bagel sticks. Support this podcast and get a free sampler box. Go to naturebox.com/screenplay. That's naturebox.com/screenplay.
Hey guys, welcome to Screenplay. This week we're joined by a really awesome and kind of somewhat decent looking crowd.
Aw, thanks.
And then we've got Joey over in the video store. Joey, say hello.
Hello, guys. Hello. How are you?
Hi, Joey.
Try not to pass out.
That's
You look
right.
great.
Try not to.
To Joey's credit, he is getting a little. He was a little under the weather this week.
I
so
got a fever.
He's got a fever for that cowbell.
And the only
Fever for
cure
movies
is nature
and
box.
television.
Excuse me?
A fever for movies and television.
Damn right. Damn
in all
right.
in all honesty, he's actually suffering from Ebola, but we'll get to that later. Right now, we are joined by Mr. Brandon Farmahini, who head of all production management. We're managing production here at Rooster Teeth.
I should cut my hair.
You should cut your hair.
Yeah. Then we also got Barbara Dunkleman. She is our community manager as well as the voice of Yang on our animated show Ruby. And then speaking of Ruby, we are also joined by Dustin.
Ruby herself.
No, not Dustin.
I can't wink.
That's okay.
I can't do it good either.
Well, Dustin is one of the animators on Ruby, and this is his first time on the show, so thank you so much, Mr. Dustin Matthews.
Thanks for having me.
And then I'm JJ, and I'm dressed like one of these hipster newsies, and I will be your host of Screenplay. Hey! And just full disclosure, I dress this way because there's so many comments on YouTube and on Reddit that are like, JJ's such a fucking hipster. And I was like, oh, you want to see hipster? It can always get worse.
But you did already own these clothes.
Moving on. These are, in fact, yes, my clothes.
It's very true. Shut down.
It's so funny. I was telling Barbara earlier how I was dressing up at the house last night, and I was like asking my girlfriend, I was like, does this look okay? Is this hipster enough? Is whatever? And she was like, come here, you look super sexy. And I was like, this is totally
Who are you dating?
I like to think that's what you wear to church.
That's like your nice
It's
hipster attire.
Easter.
The Church of Steve Urkel.
Are you dating Dr. Girlfriend?
Dr. Girl? I wish, dude. She's hot. Her
Yeah.
voice is. I mean, I could have that whisper in my ear. Yeah.
I can't do it.
Talk
That was-
dirty to me.
There you go. My voice can't get low enough in the register.
Shauna at Shyly Foxhound says, Joe Jones Films, you look so fucking awesome. Love the outfit.
Oh.
So at least you got
Nice.
one.
There you
When
go.
did you tweet that, JJ?
When did I tweet that? I set my Twitter to pre-tweet something. There's a timer on it.
That's genius.
Genius. Later in the episode today, we're going to be joined by Justin Ishmael, who heads up over at Mondo. If you don't know anything about Mondo, then you don't really know anything about movies. They release all these awesome posters, and they've been getting into the vinyl game, as well as they think they just came out with their first toy, which is kind of a variation of the Ninja Turtles toys.
Nice.
So we'll be
They have
talking
Iron
to
Giant too.
and the Iron. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk to him about that. They're doing a thing called MondoCon this year. It's kind of budding up with Fantastic Fest. He's going to tell us all about it. But right now, let's talk about the trailer that everyone's talking about. It just came out yesterday. Big deal. Mockingjay.
Yay!
Can anyone do the whistle?
That
I
was
can't go
very
down.
good, sorry.
That was awful.
We tried.
I think I'm
Sorry.
tone deaf.
Tone deaf.
Yeah.
So what did you guys think when you saw the trailer?
I felt it was like so random. And I would say I really, really did enjoy the second Hunger Games. I thought it was actually one of the best movies of the year, and it kind of sucked. It didn't get that kind of recognition.
Did you read the books, Brandon?
I didn't read the books, but I was just so confused. I was like, I don't know what's going on. Like
did
there
feel
was
very
like no
disjointed.
trailer narrative, and I know that's kind of weird to say, but at the end of it, I was just kind of like, it felt like a montage.
I think they're doing a good thing that trailers do is they show all the cool parts to make
It
you
did
want
look
to
a
see
lot
the
more
movie.
action-packed.
It did.
Like on a bigger scale.
And I don't know. I love the Hunger Games, and I think it looked really interesting. I know nothing about what happens in the Mockingjay parts, but it made me want to see it.
I guess
So it did the job.
with the second movie, it didn't seem like there was that much action. Like I felt like the second movie was an hour and a half of talking, which I really enjoyed. Like I like that. So it was weird in the third trailer to see stuff that wasn't actually the big draw for me in the second movie.
The second
But,
movie,
I mean, I guess they know what they're doing marketing wise.
definitely better than the first movie. I thought the second movie is
yeah.
like
The first movie was like, maybe it didn't have as big of a budget or something.
Yeah, of course.
Because like the effects looked kind of whack.
Well, it was Francis Lawrence who had done like I Am Legend and a bunch of music videos before then, so it definitely looked good. So I'm curious. I don't know who's directing the third one. Joey, if you could look that up for us. I have no idea. But I remember we had the second one ruined for us, Barbara, because we were doing the. I directed the Hunger Games parody for Rooster Teeth, and we were on set with the girl that played your sister.
Oh, yeah.
And she was talking to her mom, and she just told the whole plot of part 2 away while we were filming, and we were like, now we know everything.
I got that
that
from
little girl.
my
She
little
was
sisters.
adorable and a great actress.
She'll
but-
never work in this town again.
Before the movie came out, my little sisters, I hadn't read the books or anything, but they were so excited that the movies were going to start coming out. And then one night they just sat down at my house and like kind of acted out and told me the story of the books. So like I already knew about Hunger Games, but only through like my little sister's eyes before I saw the movies. So that's always an interesting.
Francis Lawrence
Is he doing it? Oh, yeah. So the third one is directed by Francis Lawrence.
I wouldn't say anything bad about that little girl actress,
She was
because we
good.
had an actor that worked with us a few times a few years ago, and he went on to star in Super 8.
And he was in
And
This Is
then-
40.
Yeah, I remember like trying to contact his mom, being like, "Hey, I need this information to pay you," and she was like, "Sorry, big things are happening right now." I was like,
She's
Yeah,
like,
I don't need y'all's money anymore.
I don't need that internet money. I got that
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams money.
I don't
Yeah.
need your $4.50.
he was the kid with braces from the movie. Who
That's
I thought
right.
he kind of stole the show.
He was the best
They threw him in
actor.
the final sequence for no reason, like that whole final act.
He was the pyrotechnics kid.
Yeah.
I love it because there's going to talk about Super 8 for that one moment because it's Ryan Lee.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Ryan Lee, he has this really great moment where the kid who like I guess lost his mom is the lead kid in Super 8, and he's having that moment with the alien, and the alien like looks like he's gonna kill him, and then he like just puts him down, and Ryan Lee pops up and he's like, really? And it's like he was saying what everyone in the audience was like
Yeah.
calling.
He's the agent for the audience.
like we
and
were
it's
calling
like-
we were calling bullshit.
It's funny when they do that, because you're then not allowed to criticize it, because
Yeah.
they already called out the fact that they were doing something like
Totally.
that as an audience member. So it kind of takes like the fuel away and the
Yeah.
power away.
I got a weird Matrix. Which one was the third one? Revolution or
Revolution.
yeah, or Revelations or whatever the hell. The third
One of
Matrix.
those
I
ones
got
that
I got a
wasn't the first
weird
one.
third Matrix vibe from this trailer because the sense whereas the
No, it is
first
Revelations. You're right.
okay,
It's
well,
Revolutions.
Revolution.
Fuck, I was right.
we
the
can do
first
this
time.
forever. Electric Boogaloo Matrix.
It's the
Regulations.
Motrix.
The Motrix. But no, I got this weird Matrix 3 vibe from the trailer because in the first two movies, it has a lot to do with the Hunger Games. And the same way with the first two Matrix movies, it has a lot to do with being inside the Matrix. Whereas in this one, it looks like it has nothing to do with the games itself and kind of what's going on in the rest of the world. So it kind of feels like they're going to start showing you more of what's going on behind the walls.
Can I make a quick recommendation about the Matrix?
Sure.
If you love the Matrix, or which is the camera, that one. If you love the Matrix, or you kind of liked it, or you thought it got kind of bad, or whatever, no matter what, if you were interested, you should listen to the DVD commentary, because it was done by Cornel West, who's actually in the movie, but he's a like very well respected
Who
academic.
is he in the movie?
He's one of the elders
Oh, okay.
in Zion, and his kind of perspective on the philosophy behind it is really cool. And it was like, I think, one of the best or most useful uses of a DVD commentary ever.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for something to do on a rainy day and you have that movie, I'd highly recommend it. It
Well,
might have been the remastered.
I've got a
edition
friend
or
actually who works at Mondo. We're talking about Mondo later, but Mo Shafiq. I hope I'm not killing his last name, but he
Oh, Mo's awesome.
yeah, Mo's
Sorry.
awesome, and he comes to a lot of our events, and he posted on his Facebook because at the Alamo Draft House they watched like part 2 and part 3 of Matrix, and they were his prints. Like he went online on a forum and bought the film prints of those Matrix movies, and he was like,
That's awesome.
he was like, I'm a defender of the Matrix trilogy. Like
I am too. I love it. I think it's amazing. Aside from like the machines, like
aside from the Zion rave scene, and aside
Oh, I love that.
and aside from the totally digital PlayStation 2 effects of Neo fighting all the Mr. Smiths.
Oh, man.
it's a good movie.
That was all
It's
great.
okay.
I was just thinking, Barbara and I were talking about how we're so bad with names, and I was just so happy that I remembered it was Cornel West and not Kanye West.
Who apparently hates people in wheelchairs.
Does he?
Yeah, I saw that.
I think he's not a big fan of.
Am I
most
derailing
things.
the show? I'm
No, it's fine. People want it to be derailed.
ADD, like it's like I don't think this.
I'm going to prescribe you Ritalin before the end of the show.
Yeah,
He
there's
doesn't
that
like Taylor
video of
Swift either.
Kanye West telling everyone in the audience to stand up, and there was 2 people who weren't standing up, and he called them out, and he's like, I'm not going to go until you stand up, and everyone's like yelling something, and he finds out that one person's in a wheelchair and the other has a prosthetic leg. And it's just like, well, this is awkward.
And he still didn't even apologize. He said he's calling himself the victim. Like, I'm sorry, you have douche level right here, and then once you completely outdouche
Yeah.
yourself, I mean, there's no
But
coming
to
back.
his credit, we're all talking about him.
Yes.
It's
You're right.
true.
Who
And
brought
I
it
think
up?
he's somewhere right now, like.
His ears are burning.
I didn't
Yeah.
know you could outdouche yourself today. TIL. Today I learned.
Well, just there you
Look
go.
at this.
Just like that.
I don't know what else I could do. I mean, I could add maybe.
I get the
You need a
the
mustache.
outfit, but why are you sitting like this?
Why is it bothering you? Why do you have a hole in your pants?
Oh no! Good thing I'm wearing underwear.
This podcast is now rated PG-13.
Oh my god! Even your junk has a mustache. I don't know what I could do more to out hipster this. I was thinking about getting one of those little knit caps that barely hangs on the back of my head.
Yeah.
That would and maybe holding a Starbucks.
You should be like sketching something in a sketchbook.
There you go.
And like holding a typewriter.
Okay, JJ, I'm sorry for ruining the show. We were talking about.
We were talking about Mockingjay.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
we really went far away
That's
from that.
totally my bad. I'm sorry.
So there's Philip Seymour Hoffman. He passed away, I believe, before he finished a lot of his scenes in this. So there are some digitally CGI kind of made scenes with Philip Seymour Hoffman. I just hope it's not super.
They said that they weren't going to use any CGI for him.
Really?
Yeah, I think they said that they
finished
finished filming with him and that they weren't going to.
I know at one time they were going to do that.
Like,
yeah, it'd be
that's
so
what I
weird
heard
and
too.
creepy. I don't think I could not think about it.
They're doing that with Paul Walker in the next Fast and Furious movie.
Are they?
They spent
Rip.
something like a shitload, like a third of the budget was just to bring him back digitally, and they even have some scenes where they used his brothers.
At least they can do that with Terry Gilliam was making that movie
With Heath Ledger, the Imagineering of Dr. Panassus.
Oh, I'm so glad you remember that.
Oh,
It was some silly
yeah.
title. And in the middle of it, Heath Ledger died. So they actually replaced him with 3 different actors.
Mm-hmm.
I know it was Johnny Depp. I don't know if it was Jude Law.
It was Johnny Depp, Jude Law, and Colin Farrell.
Yeah. So it's kind of tough when you're in that position because there's so much money in it, and you're like, I know this might seem insensitive, but this is my life here.
Yeah.
I get that kind of.
I thought it worked for the movie because the whole idea is that when he's in the mirror world or when he goes into these
For that
fantasies,
movie, it worked really
he
well.
changes different. Oh, I love that movie. Tom Waits is fucking awesome in that movie. I love how because Tom Waits is kind of playing the devil, and I guess Dr. Panassus is kind of a variation of God.
Yeah.
So I love how Tom Waits when he talks to Dr. Panassus, he calls him Parney. It's like, so Parney, let me tell you something. But what's really interesting about that movie is that so the whole idea with Heath Ledger, I don't think he had a will or anything prepared. So when he died, his money got split up to his estate and his family, became this huge fucking issue, and the actors were so afraid that his daughter, they had Michelle Williams, wasn't going to get any of the money. So Jude Law, Johnny Depp, and Colin Farrell all took the $1 million or $2 million, whatever they were getting for the movie, and they had it given to her. So that when she turns 18, she'll definitely have a nice little egg of money to live off of.
$3 million is quite nice.
Yeah. To give you an idea of that movie, it was directed by Terry Gilliam, who also directed Monty Python. He also directed Brazil, 12 Monkeys.
Fear and Loathing,
So
one of my
it's
favorites. He's one of my favorites.
Did the animations
Fucking
in Monty Python, too.
crazy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
Dude's
cool.
insane.
And to go a little bit more even off the rails, if you ever get a chance, I think it's on Netflix, but Lost in La Mancha. So
that's great. It's a great film for
because Gilliam's been trying to make the Don Quixote movie for a long time, and the whole story is that Don Quixote. I hear this about Confederacy of Dunces and Don Quixote are both cursed. That every time they try to make a Confederacy of Dunces movie, the lead actor dies. It was John Belushi, it was John Candy, all these different people that they've died after they cast him in the movie, so it just never got made. And the same thing with Don Quixote. Every time they try to make a movie, shit goes crazy. And then there's this documentary called Lost in La Mancha, and you can check it out on Netflix, I think. And it's all about Terry Gilliam. It was the documentary was originally guys doing the behind the scenes of the making of the movie, and it's him with Johnny Depp, and they're trying to make this Don Quixote movie, and everything
goes wrong.
Could go wrong, goes wrong. They're filming, I think, in this desert scene, and this monsoon comes, and they film all these outside scenes in this town that's made up of kind of huts and mud, sand buildings, and then when the monsoon leaves, the whole town is just a different color, and it's not going to turn back for months.
Wow.
So they just
It was the perfect storm of the perfect storm of the perfect storm.
yeah. But that's an interesting movie to watch.
Perfect storms.
But on the same note, there's a lot of documentaries coming out about movies that almost got made that never got made. They have Jordansky's, I'm ruining his last name, but Dune. He was going to do a version of Dune. There's a doc about that, and now there's the Superman. The Superman movie that Tim Burton was going to make. There's a documentary about how that never came out.
There's so many crazy stories about superhero movies that were almost made by
True.
random directors.
Well,
you wonder how many are true. I think Kevin Smith also almost made a Green Hornet movie. Batman Beyond was almost made by Alfonsky.
Oh, no, Aronofsky almost made a Batman Beyond. But Darren Aronofsky, who did Requiem for a Dream, more so no, he did Noah, but he did Black Swan and all those movies, and The Wrestler. His version of Batman was so fucking different than the source material that the studio was no.
Was it really dark?
No, he called him the Bat/Man. Alfred was this big fat mechanic friend of his. His the Batmobile was a Lumina,
Oh my God.
and he wore a Jason kind of hockey mask. It had nothing to do with Batman. He changed it up so much. They were get away.
He actually wrote a new Jason film, and he was just like, "Let's
this is
Batman."
Well, he was.
Is that
and
what it
then-
sounds like?
Yeah, but this is how we talk.
But Aronofsky, at one point, he was attached to be directing the Wolverine and then RoboCop, and then he left those both.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Have you ever seen Perfect Blue?
Uh-uh.
It's an anime, but Aronofsky, like, that's like a big inspiration of him. It's I think you might have to fact check me on this. I think it's Satoshi Kon. I'm gonna
Check out Perfect Blue, Joe,
Yeah.
if you can.
Perfect Blue.
It's an anime. But anyway, if you ever watch Black Swan or whatever, you'll definitely see
Black Swan's one of the scariest movies
Like,
I've ever seen.
It's good, though.
Terrifying.
that, and also Requiem.
Did I, ever, I told the story on the podcast, but the first time I saw Black Swan, it's like a really intense movie.
Yeah.
I saw it, I was visiting Austin, and I was seeing it with Jack and Joel. And this is like way before I worked at Rooster Teeth. And it's that scene where she's in her bedroom and her legs crack backwards.
Oh, that's
And
right.
like everyone in the audience is like, oh my God. Joel leans over next to me and he goes, I think she's turning into a dog. And I just burst out laughing in the middle of the theater, and everyone just like turns around and stares at me.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, fucker, I hate you.
That's a really good Joel, by the way.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I tried to deliver that as accurately as possible.
See, when I think of Black Swan, the bedroom scene that comes into mind isn't the one where she turns into a dog.
Nope. There's a different bedroom scene
Yeah,
that
there is.
That was a
lot of
great
people are fans
example of when a movie was super ambiguous in the ending, and it didn't bother me.
No.
Because I didn't feel like it was about figuring out what happened. I felt like it was about the ambiguity that comes with dementia,
Yeah.
which I thought was cool. Whereas Inception, it actually did bother me because it seems so obsessed with
Yeah.
how things happen in the technical portion, but then there's no answer to
re-
the most
Yeah.
interesting question of the movie, which is, is his experience real? Like, that to me was the movie, and it's just like,
I kind of like it how they left it like that, though.
yeah, I don't know. I felt like with the backlash she got from the
Wrestler?
No, not the wrestler. The movie about magic.
Oh.
Not the Illuminist.
No, you're thinking of
Now
of
You See Me.
Prestige, but that's Christopher Nolan.
Which one?
Yeah, Christopher Nolan did Inception though.
I thought you were talking about Black Swan.
Oh,
I
at
was
one
just
point we
talking-
switched
I was
from
just-
Nolan to
I was just talking
from
about
Aronofsky.
movies that have been like really ambiguous endings.
Yeah, definitely.
Bum, bum, bum.
Like
What does it mean to you?
He got like a backlash from the Prestige because he told you exactly what happened, and I, think
I
a
like
lot
that
of people-
movie.
I like it
I like
too.
That
that movie
movie's
a lot.
awesome.
But I mean, so with the way that Black Swan left things open and what the story is trying to tell, I was totally okay with it. Like I ended up leaving that movie. I think it was one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. It was also one of the coolest.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on, Michael Fassbender is producing a feature film version of Assassin's Creed. I've never played Actually, I have played it. I've been around people while they've played it, but I've never like done a whole campaign in the video game. Justin, I'm guessing you played some Assassin's Creed? Oh my
Not
God!
really, no.
You just lost so much cred.
I'm
Brandon,
sorry.
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, no, it's a fun game. It's not the kind of movie video game that you feel like
still
would
have your
get
cred, don't worry.
this type of
Just a little.
adaptation, which I do think if you look at the cast involved and potential cast, it seems, I don't know the word more legitimate, but like a higher scale. Like it doesn't seem like a cheap adaptation. You're actually getting people to buy into it. And the weird thing is you wonder if this is the beginning of a possible revolution of video game films and how they're perceived, much in the same way that we saw with comic book movies.
It's true.
Has there been like a good video game?
We
movie?
talked about
Resident
this. We
Evil
talked about this a couple
was
weeks
okay,
back. Some people said Silent Hill.
Forward
was
to
pretty
Dawn
good.
also is pretty close.
Forward into Dawn. That's like a web series, but
It's
it's
a series,
it's
yeah.
pretty Halo based.
It's
and
very also like cinematic.
yeah.
Like it could be a movie.
Well, Neil Blomkamp's version of Halo was going to be awesome, and then so he lost. Like Microsoft only wanted Peter Jackson. They only we want Peter Jackson or nothing, and Peter Jackson was like, but this Neil Blomkamp guy would do a way better version than me. And they were like, nope, we don't. So it went belly up, and then so he ended up doing District 9, which has a lot of mech and it has a definite Halo feel to it.
Yeah, it's just kind of sad because Peter Jackson wanted Master Chief to take off his suit and he was going to be a hobbit, and so Microsoft was like, that didn't really happen.
That's not true.
Not their cup
No,
of tea.
don't let the blogosphere go off and believe that. So the reason I bring up Assassin's Creed is because so Michael Fassbender is producing it. He's one of the producers with a bunch of other folks, and he's going to be the lead. And there's been a big rumor. I tweeted about it, and then it's been kind of debunked, not debunked. No one knows if it's for real now. It could be, it's kind of an idol. But word on the street is Robert Downey Jr. is going to be playing Leonardo da Vinci in the series. So that could be cool. Because I guess, I don't know, is Da Vinci kind of like a kind of like in James Bond, like a Q kind of character. Like,
yeah, but he wears like an Iron Man suit. So they were.
I just think it's awesome that we're finally gonna have Magneto and Iron Man in a movie together.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
I didn't think of it like that. That's pretty cool.
But they
It's-
tweeted it and then they deleted it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they tweeted and they put an article up, and then a bunch of articles sprung up after that, and the main original article has since gone
So
away.
maybe he backed out, or maybe something changed, making it not true anymore.
You never know what. I mean, it'd be pretty genius if they did that on purpose
Yeah.
and they took it away.
Yeah.
Well,
Like what they're doing to create
Oops.
hype.
Well, this kind of thing isn't new. Like, I mean, people saying that Walter White was, or that Bryan Cranston was going to be Lex Luthor. You know, like that popped up on one website, and then a bunch of websites jumped on it, and then Bryan Cranston was like, "That's interesting. No one's told me."
Yeah.
So
Would they say that if he wasn't bald in the show?
it definitely works. It definitely helps.
He would be an amazing Lex Luthor.
But so going more into Robert Downey Jr. Territory, so he's come out and said that he is not, or not necessarily not, but he's signed on to play Iron Man in 2 more Avengers movies. So Avengers 2, Age of Ultron, and then third Avengers that's going to be coming out eventually. He's going to be playing Iron Man. He's contracted to do it, but he has no Iron Man standalone films in the future. So
I think he's just he's ready to move on. You know, I mean, he became this huge star because of Iron Man. Like, obviously, he'd been in other things, but that was the big thing.
Do you think Iron Man was his big break?
I wouldn't call it his big break,
his
but I would
resurgence,
call it
comeback.
his
That's
resurgence.
It was
but
his
it's
Pulp
also
Fiction.
it was his kind of push into the mainstream.
Yeah.
Like, I think Johnny Depp did a lot of really cool things, had a lot of really cool roles, but it wasn't until the pirate movies where he became like
Yeah.
A-list
Yeah.
pop culture popular actor. That doesn't mean he didn't have great movies before.
No.
And Downey had great movies before. I think Downey was even nominated for an Oscar. in, like,
Downey was
1990,
in
like-
Chaplin.
Yeah.
He was really young and he played Charlie Chaplin in the biopic, and that movie's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
If you ever get a chance to check out Chaplin, like watch it, because it'll one tell you like about the history of like movies and how that came to be, but also just to watch Robert Downey Jr. in an amazing performance.
Yeah.
But so he'd been around. He'd already been around once, and then he just kind of fell off. He was like in the Shaggy Dog with Tim Allen a few years back.
Downey
Yeah.
or
Robert Downey Jr. He
Yeah.
did some shitty movies because he had to like resell himself because everyone knew him as like this druggy, and he was at Lindsay Lohan level.
Yeah, he couldn't get bonded. I think no, that's not the right term. Well, anyway, when you make a movie, you have insurance, like a general insurance, and no movie would, or no insurance company would, like sign off on a movie if he was in it.
That's right.
Because they weren't sure if he would drop out. So it took a while before people had enough faith in him to be able to do that, and that's why he was out of work for a while. I think the only thing he did was this Elton John video.
Yeah, and just to show you how like
Music video.
how low he was on the totem pole, like when Iron Man came out, he wasn't even the top paid actor of that movie. It was Terrence Howard.
Yeah, that's true.
Because he had just come off Hustle and Flow, which won an Oscar. So
Great
Iron
movie.
Man, the lead in Iron Man, didn't even get the most money.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me because Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark.
No, he's
like
A-list now.
there is no one else
He's
who
the
could play
highest
that
paid
role.
now, right?
Yeah. Him and Dwayne Johnson are definitely up there. But my favorite Robert Downey Jr. performance, hands down, it's not
Ally
the lead.
McBeal?
What's that?
Ally McBeal.
Oh, fuck you. Natural Born Killers, man. He's playing like this Geraldo Rivera type character, and he's like, it's amazing. Like if you've never seen Natural Born Killers, like you got it. That's one of my favorite movies of all time.
I have
Like,
not seen it.
Tarantino wrote the story of it. Oliver Stone directed it, and like it's just so fucking weird. Like Rodney Dangerfield is like this like shitty abusive dad. Juliette Lewis is in it. Woody Harrelson's awesome. It's just so it's a fucked up movie, but it's beautiful and it's fucked upness.
I don't know if you could technically say it was his performance. It's debatable, but not Waking Life. Scanner Darkly.
That's right.
I thought was my favorite role he did. He was just so kind of off the wall. It was kind of like a version of Tony Stark, except crazy.
Yeah.
Very eccentric, but crazy. Oh, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang too.
That was true.
That was a really good film.
That was definitely like that was kind of brought him back. Him and Val Kilmer were very like not necessarily number one guys to go to because Val Kilmer was kind of bloating up. He kind of was turning into Marlon Brando.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this, but I really, really loved him in Tropic Thunder.
Oh yeah, but that
I
was
thought
right
he
after
was-
Iron Man.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I
He's
don't.
great. No, he's
He
great.
took
That
it
whole
so
film,
serious.
Amazing. Yeah.
That whole film was just surprisingly good. It's very rare you go into a movie with these super low expectations, and you're
Yeah.
just like, this is fucking awesome.
I'm the
It's
dude
so
playing
funny.
the dude inside the other dude.
That's good.
I also thought he was
good
really
cast.
good in Zodiac.
So
Oh, that's
yeah.
right. Anyone
One
who
of
works
the-
with David Fincher, you gotta be good.
I think he overperformed. Not overperformed. He outdid Jake Gyllenhaal,
Yeah.
and Jake Gyllenhaal was a lead, and my focus was mostly on Downey Jr. the entire time. It was
Yeah.
an
If you're
awesome
gonna see
film.
Tropic Thunder, don't see the uncensored version.
Is it just too many jokes?
Yeah, because it's not uncensored. It's just longer. So the pacing of the movie is so awkward because they put in like every take possible.
That's a bummer.
And I think I have that one because that was the only version on DVD or Blu-ray. So
Nice.
I would definitely get the one for theaters. It's just solid comedy, you know.
So we're going to talk about Tusk, and then after that, we're going to talk to Justin from Mondo, who's going to let us know what's going on. Tusk is playing Fantastic Film Fest. It is Kevin Smith's newest film. It's part of his new era, as he refers to it as the era of Kevin Smith when he just stopped giving a fuck.
Started with a Red State.
Red State, which I like a lot.
I still haven't watched that. It's on Netflix.
Dude, it's intense. It's kind of like... he doesn't come out and say it's the Westboro Baptist Church, whatever, but it pretty much is. It's like these people that picket, like, you know, like funerals and stuff. So as you see, we're looking at it right now. It's this is Justin Long, and I think it's Michael Parks.
I love Justin Long too so much.
Haley Joel Osment.
That is definitely Haley Joel Osment in this trailer. And then there's two girls in the convenience store right here. The one on the left is Kevin Smith's daughter, and the one on the right is Johnny Depp's daughter.
Really?
And
they're Canadian in this film.
What do you think about that?
About? We don't say about that strongly.
Well, what's funny is, okay, so Johnny Depp's daughter's in this movie, and Johnny Depp isn't casted in this movie, but he's in it. Like, he has a fake name in the movie. Like, he's not casted under Johnny Depp, and he has prosthetics, and he's playing this kind of like eccentric detective type. So like,
really,
they haven't.
Is he in the trailer?
No,
Johnny
Okay.
Depp, you said?
Yeah, Johnny Depp's in the movie, and like they're
He
keeping
does
it
some weird
really
stuff.
low key.
There's this movie.
Not low key enough, apparently. We
No,
already
I know.
know.
I know things.
It's called like Before the Fall, or I don't think that's it specifically, but Joey, if you could look it up. Johnny Depp he has two different roles. He plays a transvestite, or excuse me, a transgender in prison, and he also plays a gay general. And this was, I think, a movie out of Cuba, and God, I think it's Before the Fall, and it's so cool to see Johnny Depp just want to do
It's
weird,
not beautiful,
crazy
is
things.
it? Or is it the one with Javier Bardem? Or
It's like 3 syllables.
oh,
Before Midnight. That's not-
Affirmation?
No.
it's like 3 syllables.
Affirmation.
But it's cool. It's just Johnny Depp. He just doesn't care. He'll just do something because he wants to do it. And
Before Night Falls. There
thank
you
you.
go.
Got it.
That's way more than 3 syllables.
4.
Only one more. It's okay.
Sorry to sidetrack. It's hard not to try to recommend movies.
So I'm lucky enough that I'm gonna be going to Fantastic
fucking
Fest
everything up.
next week, and so I'm gonna get to hopefully see Tusk when it premieres.
What is Fantastic Fest?
Fantastic Fest?
Some people are
it's-
not in Austin.
Yeah, it starts. It's on the 18th, I believe the 25th. We're gonna have a whole Fantastic Fest screenplay next week. We have Emily Higgins, who is a well-known filmmaker. She started making films when she was 12. She did zombie.
Is she gonna be on the show?
She's gonna be on the show.
I love Emily.
Yeah.
She's actually working at Rooster Teeth for a
Yeah,
while.
Emily
too.
worked at Rooster Teeth for a while, and she's showing her newest film, Grow Up Tony Phillips, at Fantastic Fest. So next week we're going to be talking all about Fantastic Fest, and you'll know all about the fun stuff going on. They're having a food fight. They're having all this crazy stuff. They have boxing matches last year. Keanu Reeves boxed, and Alex Winter, who plays Bill from Bill and Ted, was there, and it was this
Nice.
kind of reunion. So they do a lot of crazy stuff. It's based out of Austin. We'll talk about it next week. But so Tusk is going to be showing up. It's the opening night movie for Fantastic Fest this year. What do you guys think? Is it too fucking weird? A man that turns a guy into a walrus?
I couldn't tell. This is gonna sound weird. I couldn't tell if they were like making fun of themselves in that trailer. Like I couldn't tell if it was a comedy or if
Yeah.
it was just really fucking.
I think it's
dark.
supposed to be a scary movie that has funny moments.
Okay.
Yeah, when I watched the trailer, I had the same reaction. I was like, this looks kind of scary and
Yeah.
creepy, but also, are they making fun of? Because it's kind of like Human Centipede-esque. I
Yeah.
guess.
It kind of does that has that feel to it. But some of the best horror and serious movies have this underlining like comedy where maybe the first time you watch it you're so on nerve because it's so intense you don't catch it, and the second time you watch it like this is actually kind of funny. The Coen brothers are really good about that, like especially like No Country for Old Men and A Serious Man and stuff. P.T. Anderson is really good about that because like we'll talk about There Will Be Blood later in the show. That's the movie we all watched this week. But there are moments where that movie is super fucking intense, but on the surface you're like there's something kind of funny about this.
Yeah, it's just like turning someone into a walrus. That concept is just
Yeah.
funny. Like you don't think of that being scary or something like
No,
that.
it's
But,
not
Justin
walrus.
Long looks terrified.
Yeah,
though,
why
right?
walrus?
It's like he just went and had a list of animals, and he was just like, boop.
I love
Yeah.
that the hashtag is walrus yes.
I saw like in the comments like there was a lot of people being walrus no.
That would totally be me. You're that guy, because like when you're going in that situation, the first thing you think of is this guy's probably crazy and gonna do weird experiments on me. But I don't want to be that guy who stereotypes people. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. That would be me. Like my rational brain would say, "Do not go in that." But then like the political, correct version of me would be like, don't judge a book by its cover, Brandon.
But that's like
you're going to be a walrus.
Scary movie mindset is
Don't
like,
open the door.
don't do it. And then you're like, why are you doing
Like
it?
Alien.
Don't pick up that tusk.
What?
I just
Right. Don't
I don't
jerk
have
off the tusk.
I don't have the follow through to like turn someone like from normal person to walrus. Like I'd be so
Well,
lazy.
no, once you start, you got to commit. You just go for it.
I would find someone that already kind of looked like a walrus. So it wouldn't be that hard. It'd be
So
like
not
it'd be like an hour-long process.
So like the old man himself.
Turn himself.
or just a rounder guy
Yeah.
There you go.
with some
More buoyancy.
A rounder guy with some buck teeth.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty good.
Perfect.
But anyway, teeth. You need teeth to chew things.
Nice.
Things
Nice
that you
segue.
can chew.
Oh, God.
Joey, tell us about what we got.
Seriously? Seriously?
Segue.
Segue.
Joey.
All right, segue. Today's we're chewing things. We were chewing Nature Box, which I love, and I'm gonna tell you how you can score some free snacks from Nature Box. Drop the candy and drop the potato chips. They're not only great and good, but they're good for you. And do what I do: get hundreds of these things, hundreds. That's right. Delivered to me. They're at naturebox.com. Naturebox gives me hundreds of snacks. I mean, delicious snacks, and I don't feel guilty about eating them because they're better for me. They've got 0 artificial ingredients, 0 trans fats, and 0 high fructose corn syrup. You'll even find snacks that are low in sugar and without gluten. So in the afternoon slump, when I'm hungry and irritable from hearing JJ segues, here's what I do. I grab peanut butter nom noms from Nature Box, or baked sweet potato fries, or dark cocoa almonds. So good, but so good for you. And now I want to give you the chance to try Nature Box for free with a sampler box featuring 5 of their most popular snacks. All you have to do is to start your free trials. Go to naturebox.com/screenplay. You stay full, stay strong, do what I do, and start snacking smarter. Go to naturebox.com/screenplay to get your free sampler box of delicious snacks. You're welcome.
Hey.
Nice.
Awesome.
Peanut butter nom noms. All right.
Do we have any snacks that we could?
Yeah, toss me out. Let's see. Toss me a bag, Joey. Toss me a bag. No, not gonna do it.
Nature Box. No.
Oh,
Look at
Surprisingly
that.
well.
easy to throw and catch as well.
Harvest nut mix. Awesome.
What else you got?
Yeah.
I also got the quote of the week.
Oh yeah. Let's do that right now. What is the quote of the week?
The quote of the week. All right. It's fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
I never know these.
That's it. Fat, drunk,
it.
and stupid is
That's all you
no
got.
way to go through life, son.
That's what
All
my
right.
dad said to me. I'm just kidding.
So later on in the show, before we go to Movie Book Club, we'll tell you what that quote is and where it's from. If you know the answer, tweet at us right now at Screenplay and let us know if you know that quote. Also, if you end up getting this deal from Nature Box, tweet us photos of you with your candy and your snacks, and we will retweet the shit out of them. I am a consumer whore. And how? So right now we're going to have Joey switch out with Justin, who's going to tell us a little bit about Mondo. But let's talk to you guys. Do you guys, anyone here, own any Mondo art? I own far too much Mondo art.
I have so much that there's still like 3 that aren't framed yet.
Framed yet?
Yeah.
I have.
I'm not allowed to buy any more,
Yeah.
until I get all my stuff.
I have the
framed.
Mother of Dragons, Daenerys. I have 2 Bride of Frankensteins. I have the Taxi Driver, and then in my office right now, I have the Adventure Time magic rings. So I love all things
Didn't we have
Mondo.
a Mondo artist do an RVB print?
I think
recently?
so.
Yeah. What's his name?
We'll look it up. It's
Yes.
on the internet.
We've had 6 different prints.
Nice. So let's go to Justin now, who's got a really awesome Ninja Turtle toy that you don't really see. Justin, tell us what's up with this toy.
Hey, so this toy, can we even see it over here?
Yeah, we can see
Let's
it.
get him facing the camera. Yeah. So this is, like you guys were saying, we mainly do, we started off doing posters at Mondo, and we kind of moved into doing records, and now we have one of our first toys. We have named him Lil Mikey. It's kind of from the Just Like Us series by Mike Mitchell, and he would do these. I think he did this one a few years ago, and we kind of saw it, and being a child of the 90s, having the ice cream pop there, with the
Totally.
the mismatched non-straight gumball eyes melting down. So yeah, we just wanted to do it, and we just did it. We just tried, and it happened. So yeah.
I think everybody is curious. Do you have a Megan Fox version.
The Megan Fox.
Yes, everyone is curious.
Where would you
And
put those
come to
gumballs?
MondoCon. We got lots of surprises there.
So tell us a little bit more about MondoCon. MondoCon is it like kind of a sister series or a sister event with it's just going on during the same time as Fantastic Fest?
No, I mean it would be going on any time of the year. Really.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but this is the first year, and since it was kind of like, will anyone come? We decided to kind of hedge our bets and put it in a weekend where there was going to be lots of people in town as well. And it's kind of like South by Southwest, where it started with one thing and it grew to be this giant thing. And I kind of wanted to have something like that wasn't in March, where we could do Fantastic Fest, we could do the MondoCon stuff, and just kind of expand from there, like get a lot of fun stuff. Like we're doing a concert this year. We're doing like the live screening of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, so we're wanting to do more and more concerts, more live events, more things that aren't just posters and just standard releases. We want to make like events go on.
So Mondo's gotten really big in the last couple of years. I mean, you guys have always had like a really big following. You guys released limited amount of prints. And the last year you had Universal partner up with you guys to do the Universal Monster series. You had like Swamp Thing and Dracula and like Bride of Frankenstein. And then I think recently you guys just like made history because you did something with Disney. You did like the Disney prints.
We made history. Yep. No, we did that at last. So at South by Southwest, that's kind of our anniversary of the gallery that we opened. I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago now. But that we always try to do a larger show. And past years it was Game of Thrones. We did one. I think you mentioned the Daenerys print, which is that was the big one at that show. That was a big deal. We did Game of Thrones. We did Disney. We've done stuff with Adventure Time, and so yeah. But I think the idea for me, the thing that's exciting to me, is like the bigger shows, like the concerts. We're doing stuff with music, all these great composers, to bring them out to Austin, bring them out to LA, bring them out to New York, and start doing more live stuff too.
Yeah. We should have photos of some of the stuff you guys do. If we have some, we'll try to pull them up, and if not, we'll list them in the links for today's show. But do you have any of these vinyls? Because I know there we go. There's the Big Trouble Little China. Super fucking awesome.
So
I have the Paranorman vinyl.
This is this one's actually made a comic book cover. That Big Trouble Little China thing, like big. They just started doing the comic book series. Do you guys know about that? It's like canon, like Carpenter.
Oh, nice.
Is kind of like supervising on it. So it starts off at the end of Big Trouble Little China. So there's a continuation. So Tyler did that cover based on the poster he did a couple years ago. We see this metallic thing here. Yeah. This is something we haven't shown yet. This is our one of the Iron Giant records that we're doing.
Oh wow.
And this is metal. This is like pressed in with the S. So this will be there for sale. Jay Shaw did the artwork on this. It's super reflective. I'm seeing him get there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we see it.
So we have that going on. And this one's really fun. This is Looper.
Oh, I love the Looper.
So this
one.
I really want to show it. Let me see if I can get it going. See how it's reflective?
Oh yeah.
This, if you've seen Looper, they have the kind of the system is you go. If you're one of the people that's like one of the assassins or whatever, these people will come in front of you on like a predetermined place at a predetermined time, and you just sit there and wait for them to come up, and you blow them away. And so the way I would get paid is they would be wrapped in kind of a straitjacket type thing, and underneath that jacket there would be silver bars or gold bars or whatever. So we decided to do that type of thing with the packaging, and Jay Shaw did that. And there's a burlap sack kind of as the slipcase for the actual record. And then we'll have these at MondoCon as well.
And I saw that one because Ryan Johnson, the director of Looper, actually tweeted it. And we're looking right now, we have a picture. I think we have Shaun of the Dead, the Shaun of the Dead print that's coming out.
Yeah, there's Shaun of the Dead, there's Looper. The one with the kind of starburst thing is 2001.
Oh, nice.
We're releasing the Alex North version of 2001, the score. It's like the lost.
The one they got rid of.
Yeah, the story goes... This would really blow if this happened to any of us. But so you work on this movie, this great visionary, which was Kubrick, Stanley Kubrick, and you go to the premiere and you sit down, and it's not your family's there, and like nothing. Like it's just it's something completely different. He didn't tell him. He just took the music out and then put the stuff that we all know and love in and makes the movie. But at MondoCon, we're going to release that. And also, we've recut the movie
with the music
according to the notes of Alex North. So you'll be able to see, the monolith scene with the way we know it, and then you can see it the way that it was originally intended.
Wow.
So it's kind of, you guys were talking about movies that didn't end up getting made. This is kind of in that same vein, right?
One of my favorite niche Mondo releases you guys released in the last year or so is you took the famous carpet from the Overlook Hotel from The Shining, that like crazy design, and they made sweaters and beanies out of them. And I saw one because I think Elijah Wood tweeted a picture or something where he was wearing it. I thought that was super awesome.
Yeah, we're doing more sweaters at the end of the year, non-Shining related.
Cosby sweaters.
Yeah, this is the last one. I'll quit boring you about the record releases, but this is something that is pretty rare and special among vinyl collectors. This is a brand new design by Tyler Stout. And this isn't for a specific record. This is for the test pressings that we get. So that was a lot of people ask, like, what are you doing with test pressings? What are you doing with test pressings? We're going to be releasing around, it's going to be like 100 maybe at MondoCon between the 2 days. And so you could get, test pressings from possibly, one of the very first ones that we released, or you could get one of the modern ones like that we're releasing now, or you could get one in the future. Like, we're going to put stuff in that we haven't announced yet. So the fun part is listening to this and trying to figure out what the music is. So that'll be, these are going to be all randomly inserted, all just kind of like,
And Tyler Stout did he did Attack the Block, didn't he?
Yeah,
that's a really great poster. So if people want to see more of these posters, if they have no idea what Mondo is, I mean, you can really just Google Mondo and Mondo posters, and you're going to show up with a lot of cool things. But where's the home base? What's the website where we can find out more about MondoCon and the different prints in general?
MondoCon's mondo-con.com, and MondoTees.com is the main dude.
That's
Mondo News is the Twitter. That's probably the best place to follow us, because we'll tell you what's going on, and then you come to the site to buy stuff. That's
very cool.
The way it
I'll tell you when something comes out.
Yeah.
And then by the time you get to the site to buy it, it'll be sold out.
It's really hard to get that stuff. You have to be
I just
in line.
wouldn't try.
Yeah.
That's what I tell everyone. It's like, don't try anymore. Why not, right? It's pointless.
Just buy it for double price off eBay. Babe.
Thanks. Well, I can't tell you guys enough why you should go check this stuff out. If you're a film fan, you got to have at least one Mondo poster in your house somewhere. Thank you so much, Dustin Ishmael from Mondo, for coming down to Screenplay.
Thanks.
Dustin, I got you that. I went to the Game of Thrones event, and I got you the Jon Snow poster.
He got himself the Daenerys one and brought me the Jon Snow one.
Oh, dude, that Daenerys one is sick. There's only I think it's like 1 out of 75 or 65 prints or something, and it looks like a painting. Like it's look up Mother of Dragons Mondo on the internet and you'll see it.
Really
like
cool.
It looks like it's so well painted that it almost looks like some 70s van would have it painted on the side of it.
The Boogie Nights one is really good too.
The Boogie Nights one's great. They do one for all the P.T. Anderson movies. Yeah, that's right.
I really like that.
But yeah, huge fan of all their work. So who here likes Star Wars? Blaine's not on this week's episode.
I know, I feel empty without him talking about Star Wars here.
I love Star Wars.
Do you?
Yes.
Star Wars is great.
Fan.
Okay, so Obi-Wan got voted as #1 Star Wars character. I think they left it up to the fans, and he got voted as the #1 character. No one saw that coming.
No, I guess.
Well, I think it has a lot to do with. I mean, Alec Guinness did a good job as
I doubt
Obi-Wan.
Alec Guinness would care.
Yeah, I don't think Alec Guinness, who played Obi-Wan in the original movies, hated the Star Wars movies because he was such a well-known theater actor and stuff.
And then nobody knew any about that.
No, they just cared about his Obi-Wan shit.
Yeah.
So I love the Ewan McGregor Obi-Wans.
Yeah.
Completely side note, did you know that that Ewan McGregor makes a cameo in A Million Ways to Die in the West? Which isn't that good of a movie, but if you blink, you're gonna miss him. I didn't see him until someone pointed out to me. But anyway,
now we know.
Yeah.
And also Django is in that movie for a second, which is kind of funny.
I thought I thought the acting in the first two movies was all kind of all over the place. I thought Liam Neeson's great. He wasn't great in the movie. Christopher Lee's phenomenal actor. He wasn't great in the second film. Ewan McGregor, I felt really got it in the third movie, and that's nothing against Ewan McGregor. I think it's just the direction. I don't think George Lucas is a fantastic director.
He's a very likable guy in general too.
Yeah.
He is, and I think his Obi-Wan in the third movie, that felt more like Alec Guinness, he could become Alec Guinness in anything, and it was just an interesting character. It was soft and hard at the same time. He was making that last scene, with all the lava, great and dramatic and heartbreaking. And then the other side, you flip the camera, and it was a little bit more
It was
silly.
bad.
Yeah, Hayden
Yeah.
Christensen wasn't
Well, we
particularly
don't
great,
talk about Hayden Christensen. I hate sand. What is this whole speech about hating sand? It's gritty, gets everywhere.
It's like, in my perspective, the Jedi are evil, and you're like, no.
Well, so
Ewan McGregor,
when
come
they
back.
announced that on top of the new 3 Star Wars movies, so they were going to do a bunch of spin-offs. They're going to do like the Rogue Squadron movie, I think the Boba Fett movie and stuff. They were going to try to stay away from like doing the Jedi storylines, but now that Ewan McGregor or Obi-Wan's been voted #1 character, they're thinking, well, hey, let's do an Obi-Wan standalone film, and Ewan McGregor's all about it. And I can actually see this like between episodes 3 and 4, like what happened in his storyline. I'd be fucking down. I'd watch that movie.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. I mean, it's a huge thing. How did he become Ben Kenobi? Like, what happened in all those years he was by himself? But it'd be really funny if they were trolling the audience and they released a trailer for the Boba Fett movie, and it was just 2 minutes of a close-up of the Sarlacc. not the plant Sarlacc, just the butthole Sarlacc. It's like, look at Boba Fett.
You said butthole.
I really want an R2D2 movie, personally.
Nice.
That'd be great.
I'd watch that.
That'd be awesome. Just the
Like,
merchandise.
That's
Okay.
what I'm worried about. I'm worried they're just gonna spit out a bunch of movies.
Oh, they're gonna.
And I know you've already talked about that in the past episode.
I just
No,
can't wait till they open up a whole Star Wars section at MGM Grand or Disney movie studios in Orlando. Like, like with how successful Harry Potter World has become.
Yeah.
And that park is just not fantastic because
Yeah.
it's so outdated. There's going to be a whole Star Wars land. You know it.
No, totally. So before we go into television, I want to talk a little bit about Maze Runner, which is I think it's coming out this month. So Maze Runner, which is based on the book series, is getting released in this thing called Escape Theaters. I think we have some video of it. But so Escape Theaters are this kind of Cinemark, and a few people are trying to do this thing where they show the movie on 3 different screens. And what's interesting about Maze Runner is that, like, you can see right now, we're playing it in the video. So you see 3 different screens. So they're trying to immerse you into the thing. I think it's an interesting concept, but I don't know if it's going to take off like they think it's going to take off. What do you guys
It
think?
seems pretty gimmicky. I don't know. I would have to watch one, but I know, like, just watching the trailer for it, I don't think I was super impressed. Like, it's cool when stuff like when they're going and then
Yeah.
it's like, oh, but
It's like
I don't know.
pod
think
race looking stuff.
Yeah, or like when they're running through the maze on that part, But
Yeah.
it seems like for what about all the stuff when shit like that's not happening? Like, what do you do with that space?
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's
I don't
too
know.
much.
Yeah.
Like, when I watch a movie on one screen, it's like you could there's still, even if there's a lot going on, you're still focusing on one screen.
Mm-hmm.
But when there's stuff also going on the sides, it's just like you almost don't know where to look. Like, I
Yeah,
get it for like
yeah.
action scenes if you're like, you feel more immersed in like a spaceship going or whatever, you're running through something. But in terms of like just a movie, it's like,
I wonder
where
if
do
they
I focus?
could kill those 2 screens for like the more dramatic stuff and then
Yeah.
come back out for the action stuff or something.
One of
I
the things
guess so.
I read about it is, like,
I don't
especially
think
for
they
the
will.
Maze Runner, like, I think for this other stuff, they shot it with special cameras, like, all that GoPro stuff was shot specifically for the experience. But something like Maze Runner, they didn't film the movie knowing that it was going to be done in Escape. I think it happened in post. So
You can tell.
What I
Yeah.
read a lot is that a lot of the side screens for the movie, like the additional screens, are all completely fabricated, like digitally. Like they were made CGI. So
When
that
you watch the trailer,
You can tell?
Yeah.
I don't think
There's
that-
sometimes where the line doesn't match up.
I don't think the director of photography is probably very happy about that. I mean, the whole...
It seems like compositionally it would get. Like, who cares?
Well-
Just let me look at this.
Well,
you know?
I think people think like, oh, I could look anywhere I want in the movie. I have that freedom, but you really don't.
Mhm.
Like a director photographer's goal is to get you to pay attention to a certain thing. Like a lot of times you'll see rack focusing, and that's when, like Barbara's in focus and JJ's out of focus, and then it switches.
That's
As it
right.
should
So, and I'm now I want to look at JJ, but in reality,
Oh,
it's a mechanical thing that they did, which helps with the drama of the movie. So there's so much control that goes into making films. Like this seems like it's crazy. And the other thing is I don't have 3 eyes, so there's nothing there's nothing about
Wait.
this experience that mimics the way that I view the world. Like I view the world in a flat surface. There's forced perspective, so I can tell, how far away Joey is and how far away the screen is. But for in all intents and purposes, I see a flat image. So it seems to me it would be hard to get into this experience because it's not the way that we view the world.
It's like you have peripherals in real life, but it's like, do you need that in the movie? Like, I don't need to look at that because, like you said, you're just
their
looking at it.
whole approach, and I think one of the guys who left Red, who helped start Red, who I believe Ted. But anyway, he's kind of
Yeah, I met him at NAB.
yeah. He's kind of like kind of pushing this thing forward. This is kind of his baby right now. And I think their whole approach is that, like, everyone, and I'm in this camp because I made like a little movie room in my house, like a really big screen and a surround sound. So like I don't ever go out to the movies anymore. I usually just watch them at my house. So their whole thing is there's so many people that are making these movie experiences in their home that less people are going to movie theaters. So they're trying to find an excuse that will make people go back to the movies.
I guess I feel like if you're not going to see a movie in the theater, you're just not going to see it. And granted, I don't know the trends. I'm sure there's statistics to show that people have been going to the movies less, especially as home theaters become a big thing. But people have also been going to the movies for over 100 years.
Yeah.
You know, literally over 100 years, and it's still relatively strong. Like, movies are never going to die. And these fads like 3D or this, maybe it does become something big. I don't know. But it feels like we're trying to reinvent a wheel that still rolls.
Which makes it seem gimmicky.
Well, it seems like they're just trying to kind of fabricate like the Oculus Rift thing.
Oh, yeah.
And when the Oculus Rift comes out in a movie theater experience, this whole escape thing might not necessarily be needed. But anyway, so
I think if it was done right, I would see a movie. If it was the right movie and it was shot that way on purpose, I could see it being fun.
That's a good
point.
But
as like a one-off thing, like I don't want to see every movie.
Yeah, like Avatar. You want to see in 3D. You want that IMAX 3D experience with Avatar, but with other movies, it's very unnecessary.
Yeah, I don't want to see like a talkie movie. Like that.
or like some sort of Pixar movie.
Yeah,
it's
I don't know. It would be cool to see something like Philadelphia.
Shut up! These kids even know what Philadelphia is. It's a movie where Tom Hanks has AIDS. On a downer note,
it's very sad, but very good. I think.
Let us know, guys. Let us know in the comment section or tweets what you feel. Do you want to see a movie in this? Like, are you curious to see a few movies like this? Is this kind of your thing, or are you totally against it?
Screenplay.
Hashtag screenplay. Okay, so moving on to television, there's a show on Stars that Zachary Quinto is producing, as well as he has lots to do with it. I think he's hosting it. It's called The Chair, and it's a movie competition. This isn't the first time that they've done a reality TV movie competition kind of show. Steven Spielberg had one called On the Lot that was lasted on Fox for a few episodes before it got, it went kind of belly up. This one's got an interesting take on it. So what they're doing is they have one script, and they give it to two people, and they make two different films. They have two different directors making their own version of their script. Whereas, so in this you have Shane Dawson, who's really famous for being a YouTube vlogger. And then a girl who's mostly unknown as far as like internet, but she is well known in the industry. And this is kind of her first film.
She also comes from a big filmmaking background.
Yeah, she's got a big filmmaking background. So she's kind of approaching it like as she's making like a serious kind of, seems like a coming of age film, whereas Shane Dawson's making this kind of teen wacky comedy YouTube thing. Like kind of comedy. Yeah. So it's going to be kind of interesting. What do you guys think?
I think it's fun, and I can't imagine that they're going to feel like they're competing against one another because they both have this tremendous opportunity. I'm just really happy for Shane because he does put a lot of work in, and it's cool to see this opportunity kind of pop up. And, I think it's, an interesting thing. It's like, does he have this voice, and does he have this vision, and can he take what he does and bring it to the next level? We've seen shows like this before. I think Showtime or somebody did one where Shia LaBeouf ended up being.
Oh, you're talking about Project Greenlight.
Project Greenlight, and that one was it was kind of tough to watch because the filmmakers really struggled. So it'll be interesting to see how this works out. But at the end of the day, you're happy for these talented people because they have this tremendous opportunity. And even if we feel like these movies are bad, it's cool that they kind of like beat the system, if that makes sense. Like they were able to get a movie in regardless of what. Because making movies is very, very, very,
for having like
very
people
hard.
Document that.
I think the caveat I think the big caveat on this is that when you watch the movie, are you going to be able to separate yourself from the behind the scenes knowledge you have when you watch the movie? Are you going to be, or when you watch it, you're going to be like, oh, this scene is whenever they like the truck overturned and they had a bunch of issues, or that actor hates that actor, but in this scene they act like they love each other. Like, can people? Because that was a problem with Project Greenlight is you'd watch this movie, but you would know all the behind the scenes like kind of drama, so it was hard to separate the two.
It could do that, or it can make you feel very connected to the movie.
That's true.
Depending on how you look at it. I'm just really excited to have a reality show that's like something like this and not like Desperate Housewives of Orange County or something like that. Something that's actually cool and a really awesome concept, and to see people's creativity come out and see like how, it's like directing and producing a movie. That's really a hard thing to do. And it's like, it'll be cool to see two different people's take on the same thing.
They also put like 9 people from Jersey on set with them though at all times. So that there's drama.
Making a movie is close to impossible.
It's tough, especially it's tough, especially when, and it's probably even tougher when every decision you make and every fault you do is being documented. So you've got that to worry about as well. I mean, I'm just curious to see how they're both going to approach it. Like I said, they both have different kind of directions they're taking with it. But one of the things that I love about this show is that it's on Stars, so they're like, you can cuss. So what I caught that in the trailer, like they were dropping F-bombs and like just cursing, and like that happens in real life. If this was TV, they would have to like soften it up.
Oh darn.
Yeah, exactly. So it's nice to see like people actually having real life situations. It's not, they didn't pretty it up, you know. So I'm looking forward to that. And I think it's a cool project. I think it's interesting they're going to release 2 different movies. Like both those movies will be released and probably on VOD or DVD or however they'll do it. But that's an interesting model. So we'll see if it does well for them. And good job, Spock, for putting this show together.
Talk about being typecast.
Yeah, right.
Especially when his home planet was destroyed. Guy's been through a lot.
Yeah.
So something that was on Reddit this week that caught my eye was Evangeline Lilly, who many of you know from either the Hobbit movies. She's going to be in Ant-Man coming out in the next couple of years, but she will be Freckles and Kate from Lost to Me. Does who here watch Lost? I know me and Brandon are really into Lost.
I think you have a Dharma bag.
I have a Dharma patch on my bag. Brandon has the Dharma keychain.
Don't bring up Lost around Brandon when I'm around, because he'll just get really angry with me.
I don't
Namaste.
remember why.
Because remember how I was moving here and
Wow,
you were
this. Well, this is
you were talking about
heated stuff.
you were talking about how like you wanted to rewatch Lost, and I'm like, I've never seen it. I'll watch it with you.
Oh yeah.
And then I moved here, and then we never did, and then that never ever
those
happened.
tweets got me in a ton of trouble.
Oh, I'm sorry. With your girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
Well, that didn't work out, so it's okay.
Oopsie. Yeah.
And if you're watching, let me just say you dodged a bullet. Dustin, Lost. Did you ever get into it?
No, I think Brandon's told me to watch it. Paco, he always tells me to watch it. I watched. I started watching season 1. It didn't like suck me in.
Yeah.
And
dude, if you're not sucked in by episode 3, whenever you find out John Locke,
no,
is in the wheelchair-
what
Episode
happened?
4.
This is what happened.
Yeah.
This is what happened.
Episode
come on,
4,
it's
I
just
knew.
kidding.
You're exactly right. Episode 4, I knew I was in because I was
Yeah.
like, this is fantastic.
This is what happened.
Walkabout.
It was in between seasons of like Game of Thrones and like Breaking Bad and stuff. I was like, man, I just need something to watch. And Paco's like, you gotta watch this show. You gotta watch it.
It's
Whatever.
tough.
It's gonna get weird. This is, there's a bunch of, just watch it.
I will
Started watching it, and then like one of my shows came back on, and I was like, oh fuck this. Started watching that, and I never went back. So like I plan to watch it, but
It's one of those things, man, where like I feel like so fortunate for people that are watching now that it's over because they can just watch it through. Whereas I watched it when it was on TV.
It's hard.
So I had to wait every week. I had to wait a whole season. It's kind of like how Game of Thrones is now. But I remember after every episode, I was on the forums. Did you see that Dharma logo on the shark fin? What does it mean? Like I was geeking out with everyone else, and J.J. Abrams and them who helped put the show together they're really good at making that rabbit hole of like holy distraction. Like you think that this thing means
And
this
red
thing.
herrings, intentional red herrings.
Totally, they totally throw you off. But you can tell. Because so I have a lot of friends that are always like, oh, I'm going to rewatch Lost now. And you can tell how much I enjoyed the ending of it, well, by the DVDs that I've bought. Like, I have 1 through 5, and then I was like, I don't need the rest because I didn't give a shit. Like, they really pissed me off, man.
I'd love to talk about the ending, but I really don't want to spoil it.
For potential people.
Yeah, what I will say is rewatching the last season is so much more enjoyable because you understand the context of what half of it is about, and you know why their lives are what they are. And when you get to that conclusion, you're just like, this is really pretty and beautiful. And on the island stuff really didn't do it for me, what was going on.
Yeah.
But it was the fact that I did love these characters, and I think everybody really did love these characters. And to see that aspect of it, it's really hard. I hope it's not boring, not talking about exactly what happened. To see the world that they created for themselves and what they did waiting for one another, I thought was really beautiful. And I loved the finale more than I loved the last
Really?
season.
See, I gotta disagree strongly with you, man. Whereas, like, I feel like after season 3, it started kind of to meander for me. And I think the last time I felt like they were really on key was whenever, because the whole first 3 seasons, they do this thing where they have flashbacks. Because they're all on the island, and everyone has a story, and every now and then they flash back to, like, someone's storyline before the island. You get to realize, oh, this guy's a murderer. Oh, this person's running from this. Oh, this person was paralyzed, but now they can walk on the island. So you have all these, like, crazy things uncovered. But... And I see season 3, at the very last episode, where like they do a flashback, and you're watching this whole story happen, and then you realize that this isn't a flashback. This is a flash forward to their lives after they got off the island, and you realize like, oh my God, they get off the island. Oh my God, it's not a flashback. This is what's going to happen. Like, I was so like crazy. Like, I love this show. And after that season, they started answering questions. And it's very evident to me that questions are so much more fun than answers. Like, whenever you have to like try to figure out and come up with theories, that's way more fun. Whenever they start to explain where the polar bears come from and all these things.
Especially if you had your own theory.
Yeah,
and it doesn't match
exactly.
up, and then you're just like, oh, really? That it's just that?
Dang.
Like
So-
they
Mine
needed a
was so
polar
much
bear to
better.
push a
exactly.
wheel.
Exactly. So, and then kind of jumped the shark a little bit in the last season. Was like a flash sideways. It was a little too much for me,
But it wasn't a flash sideways. That's what I thought was great about it.
Well-
I wish I would have known that watching it because I would have enjoyed it more.
well,
it's absolutely not a flash sideways.
You know, hopefully
to
this
see
doesn't
it.
make any sense.
No,
Yeah,
I
I feel
know
really bad
enough
for
about
these.
the show. I know enough about this show, but I know some people are like, oh yeah, it's a flash sideways.
I feel bad for these
What,
two because
is
they're
it
not.
not?
following- I feel like it's like when people talk about.
I just need
Doctor
to watch
Who
it
in front of me.
myself. I need
Yeah.
to watch it.
You need to give it a go. All I'm gonna
This is
say.
like, no.
All
I
I will.
want someone to tell me.
The last thing I'm going to say about Lost before we move on is that, like, the way I sell it to me, the way I justify it, the way I'm able to sleep at night is that I tell myself that it wasn't about it's not so much about how it ended, but it was about the ride. It was about the roller coaster of emotions and, like, all the ideas it made me think of along the way that made it worth it.
Yeah, and I think that's the idea that you and I, the four of us, can go on some crazy adventure, and it's horrible, it's so dramatic, and then when it's over, we kind of think back and say, you know, that was only a week of our lives, but it's something that I'll remember forever because I've never had any kind of experience like that. But yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed everything. I rewatched the whole show recently with my my girlfriend, and it was fun, you know. And it was, I thought the questions that they pose are interesting and fun questions, and some of the answers they give are cool. So it's just about finding that balance between answers, what questions you answer and what you don't. And that's a really hard balance because I think the biggest criticism people have of Lost is, well, they didn't answer any questions. And it's like, yeah, they did. They probably answered about 70%. But you ignore those and you just focus on the 30 they don't.
It's true.
And it's tough. You never know. George Lucas tried to answer, what is the Force? Everybody hated it.
You should never have done that.
Everybody hated it.
Midichlorians, man.
Yeah, everybody hated it. And-
It sounds like an STD.
yeah. Well, you know, his mom was impregnated by midichlorians.
Tuscan
so
Raiders,
she should've-
man. Man, his mom was crazy in college. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. So I don't know. I do get it, and I think they did a good job. Like the numbers is a good example of something they didn't want to explain scientifically. They wanted to leave that as something more fantasy, but then a lot of people would be upset. So I think I'm rambling.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
I will agree with you
About
that
me
you are
rambling.
rambling.
You are rambling.
So does Nora at Glammy W, who says, now I'm just sitting here nodding at the screen, acting like I understand what the fuck is up.
I'm sorry. That's
good
my
job,
bad.
That's why I
Brandon.
decided to have some delicious nature box. while these guys are
That's
talking.
funny.
Wait,
I
what
get
are
in
you
on that?
eating, Barbara?
Nature
Nature
box.
box.
Nature Box.
Oh, I'm glad.
That's
How you
one
get
more
free,
time, that's Nature
free
Box.
healthy snacks at
I
naturebox.com
hate
slash
both of you.
screenplay.
I mean, I love you guys. You know, I'm sure
I'll chew into the mic.
our audio listeners love you guys chewing into the microphones.
Sorry, guys.
I just
Moving
feel
on.
bad for rambling.
Moving on. There's a lot of Gotham
shut up.
hype. There's a lot of Gotham hype going on for Fox's new series Gotham, based on some of the Batman characters. It's pretty much the universe of Batman without Batman. Bruce Wayne is still a very young kid in this show. It's getting, people are getting really excited. I think it premieres next week. But Fox is doing something promotionally that you don't see very often. You see a lot of people make fan-made trailers or sweeting, making like their own version of movie trailers and put on the internet just for fun and like shits and giggles on Reddit. So Fox is embracing this, and they're having people recreate the trailer, and then they're cutting those together and making a fan-made extravaganza trailer of their trailer.
Yep.
And it's good, it's silly.
I love the ones where they use food as the people. Those are my favorites.
Some of them are pretty good. Some of them are like they just used some of their anchors in the news studio. It's a little cheesy, but I don't know. Are you guys excited about the show?
I'm sorry, Barbara.
No, go ahead.
Not
still chewing.
particularly. I do feel like it's interesting though with what they're doing. I think it's one of those things. The marketing department's like, look, we don't have to pay for this, and people are just going to help promote it. So why are we stopping that? And the thing is, if we start banning these videos, are we going to create negative buzz for ourselves? So I think it's cool and interesting. It doesn't really get me excited, but I do think it's cool.
I just don't think I'll ever be able to separate that guy from Ryan on the OC.
That's right. That's who that is.
That's just going to bother me the whole time because I still think of him as like some 18-year-old kid. Or whatever.
Mishka Barton should be Catwoman.
Misha?
Is that Misha?
Yeah, you don't pronounce
Barbara, can you say something really dramatic?
Yeah.
Can you just say something right now really dramatic?
I'm pregnant.
Da-na-na-na-na,
Is that the OC? Oh, you're saying.
Yeah,
California.
that's how everything opened up. Super
Yeah,
dramatic.
that was
and it hit
Phantom
them.
Planet. Play that song. And a really crazy trivia tidbit is
Not actually pregnant, by the way. Just thought I would clear that up.
Jason
late.
Schwartzman, the actor.
Well, check back in 2 weeks.
Do you know that Jason Schwartzman was the drummer for Phantom Planet for a few years?
No idea.
Nope. Yep. He was in a band. Well, he does Coconut Records now. If you don't know Jason Schwartzman the music, you should check it out. It's fucking great. So it's definitely hipster approved.
Watch him in Spun.
What's that?
Watchmen Spun.
In Spun? That's right. He's good in Spun. And he's also really good in Slackers when he does the Cool Ethan Little Black Box or the Little Black Room song. It's one of my favorites. Anyway, so Gotham comes out next week. We'll definitely be talking about it on the next show because it's TV and it's DC oriented, so that'll be
I'm
really
excited
fun.
for it.
And okay, so before we move on to our movie book club, let's talk a little really quickly about Saturday Night Live. They got rid of a lot of people this last season. They just hired a 20-year-old kid who'd done some stuff on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and then now they got rid of the female on Weekend Update. Brandon, what's going on?
They didn't get rid of her.
Well, she's
No.
off of Weekend Update.
Yeah, 3 of the 6 of the new cast members they brought in were let go. Brooks Wheelan was super funny. I don't know why they did that. One of them went back to the writing room because he was, that's where he came from. And then the 2 they kept were the digital short guys. They do all like the video stuff, and one of them super funny. You see him a lot in those commercials with kids. So I guess things didn't really work out, with the new cast and the new blood. So they're going with like a different approach. I think this year they brought in a Daily Show correspondent.
That's right.
Which is interesting because you don't often see them go after highly, known people. Like I think they did it once with Martin Short and Billy Crystal
in the 80s. That's right.
A different approach, but. I think what they learned is Cecily Strong, who had great chemistry with Seth Meyers. Now she's paired with, I think, Colin Jost, who's a head writer, and he has this perspective of like a newsman. That's where the humor comes from, and she doesn't. So now they brought in like a Daily Show correspondent who has, again, that fake news angle, and, they're going to work together. The other interesting thing is he's African-American, and there was that big hubbub last year about lack of African-American cast, or
That's right.
specifically female. So... and then the new, I think, young member, right? He's also, I think he's Latino,
Yeah,
but he's also
20,
a guy of color. So I think it's cool to see somebody that young, the 20-year-old, come in because everybody thinks of, everyone thinks of Eddie Murphy. But there's also, I think, it was his name, Anthony Michael Hall, the guy from Breakfast Club.
He was on it for a while too.
So there's hit or miss, with
Robert Downey Jr. was on for
Robert Downey
for a
Jr.
season.
Oh, and Julius.
A lot of people were in and out of that show.
Cecily Strong's Drunk Party Girl.
Oh, she's so good.
Wait, what is it in Party Girl?
Drunk
Party
Girl, you
Yeah.
don't want to start a conversation with.
Oh,
that
yeah,
party.
that's what it is. That's what it is.
See, and that, okay, now this is where my approach to like SNL in general is that it's really hard for SNL to exist right now because there's so much web content. Rooster Teeth, what's up? But
up.
like, you have so many like content creators on YouTube, and they're making these funny videos. Some only hit the note once and then they go away, but some hit it consistently like one week after another week, and it's hard for someone like SNL to stay relevant. That's why they brought in the digital shorts. When they started doing digital shorts, Andy Samberg, it was totally different. It was totally new. It was totally unlike them to do something so pre-recorded like that. And now I feel like they keep cleaning house on like they just got rid of like 3 or 4 cast members. Like
I don't think they got rid of him as much. Well, yeah.
No,
before that.
Yeah.
Seth Meyers left the year before.
Kristen Wiig.
Sudeikis left. Kristen Wiig left a few years ago.
Nassim Pedrad just left.
No,
Yeah.
I mean these are all like those are.
It
like,
just happens. It's just the entire history of SNL.
I feel like they're giving people less of a chance than they used to. Like I remember the first time I saw Will Ferrell, I hated him because
Yeah.
he wasn't any of the '90s guys I knew, and he was doing that like kid get off the shed like bit, and it wasn't funny to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, who's this guy that's trying too hard to
Damn
fit in?
fighting words.
Yeah, I know, but it's this thing is like over time he gets in your heart. In the same way, you could say the same thing about our community. Is
Yeah.
anytime you introduce somebody new, they're like, "Who's this person? I hate him." Who's this Ryan guy? He's new. I don't
People
like
don't
him.
like change at all.
No,
ever,
not at all.
On anything.
Well, I think everybody looks so fondly on the early '90s with Sandler,
Of course.
Spade, and Chris Farley, all of whom were fired. And one thing that Spade said was, when we were on it, everybody was saying the old cast was way better.
Always.
And then now that we're off, people are saying that we were better. And I think that's something you'll see with SNL over and over and over. What the interesting thing about the digital shorts is Lonely Island pitched to MTV and they pitched to Fox. They both those networks said no. And then NBC brought them in, and they started the digital shorts in 2005, which is the same year that YouTube launched.
It's true.
So I thought it was interesting that SNL was kind of on the forefront, well, relative forefront. Rooster Teeth started in 2003. I do think we were the forefront. But at least when YouTube came out, I think the Lazy Sunday was like the third digital short they made, and that was...
It blew up.
Yeah, that blew up, and it really was the first big original content on YouTube, because YouTube used to be so much Viacom content, like The Daily Show and all this other products. So I do think SNL does have a little cred when it comes to some of the new stuff, but I think you're right. They are overshadowed by so much more content, and they're constantly compared to it. And I think as a result, you've seen their sketches get shorter and shorter and shorter.
Yeah.
Whereas if you look back in the original seasons, they had 8-minute sketches.
Well, it used to be like in the 90s, where like people in working offices and cubicles and stuff would be like, hey, did you see last week's SNL? Did you see this weekend's SNL? Hey, did you see that bit about this? Everyone was talking about SNL that week. Whereas now in this day and age, people are like, hey, check out this YouTube video. Hey, have you seen this? So it's like
a lot of SNL skits that I see are just reposts on YouTube.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I guess it's one of those things, they're more desperate. They had 4 people come in from the last cast, and you're right, they didn't really give them a chance. There's only been a few times where you've seen SNL clean house, I think like 1980 and then maybe like 1985. Wikipedia has a great picture where you can see a timeline, and there are these, sections where you got guys who've only been on there for, a flat season. So
that's crazy.
It's crazy. It's interesting to see a show that spans so much time.
Who's that really long one there?
Yeah, well, they're writers too. Probably Tim Meadows or Daryl Hammond.
Daryl Hammond is that really big blue one right there.
Nice. Well, I mean, like Ben Stiller wrote on it for a while. Bob Odenkirk wrote on it for a while. Larry David wrote on it for a while.
Janine Garofalo.
That's right.
Yeah.
Let us know, guys. Are you watching SNL? Do you care about SNL? Are you going to give it a chance? Is it pretty much something that your parents watch? Like, what do you think about SNL? Tweet us at Screenplay. Tell us underneath in the comments. We're about to go into movie book club, but right now, Joey, let us know what this the quote of the day was.
Again, the quote of the day was, "Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son." And none of you guys know it,
No.
right? Surprise.
Maybe if you said it, maybe you said it in a non-Joey voice.
No, actually, for the first time, I actually researched this clip, and I said it the first time. I said it the wrong way. It's like, "Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son." That's how he says it. And
Spanish soap opera.
50 people on Twitter said it was from Animal House, and they were right.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Speaking
And
of,
Louisiana Jones
SNL.
at
There you go,
Louisiana
John
Jones
My
1 is
mind
the
is
first person to get it correct. It's the
Nice.
D.
Well, shout out to you, sir. All right. Bastard in a basket. That's it. It's time to move on to movie book club, and we're talking about There Will Be Blood, which is a fucking awesome movie.
So good.
It's such a good movie. P.T. Anderson.
It was super.
It was super. Nice.
I'm wearing your other fake glasses.
In case my glasses broke, I brought an extra pair. Guess I was too hipster for them, and they just
Yes,
shattered.
I wanted to wear them for the book club discussion.
There you
because I
go.
feel
You're
like
looking
that's
pretty
very-
nerdy. Like kind of like you're like
Jensen.
you're obviously that girl from like She's All That,
Okay.
where you're looking nerdy, but then you take the glasses off and you put your hair out of them.
You have my
Never mind, put it back on.
You have my favorite line in the whole season this
Which
year.
one?
Sorry, I choked on my own spit.
Sorry. Choking my own spit.
Nice.
Synergy.
That's your character from Red vs. Blue,
yeah.
right? Nice.
Also, who I was at the age of 12.
Oh, can we link dump that picture?
Oh, we have to find that photo.
That's fake.
But so let's talk about There Will Be Blood. I really, really, really wanted to have a bunch of milkshakes on the table for this portion of the show, but we didn't get to it.
We'll all drink milkshake.
Oh, I drink your milkshake. Let's talk about this. What did you guys think? I know you guys know I love this movie.
So I tried watching this movie. I watched it yesterday because I procrastinate a lot. And so I was like, I'll just have it on at work while I do my
This is the
work
first time
here.
you ever saw it?
Yeah.
Okay.
First time I ever saw it. This is not a movie you could watch in the background
No.
because a lot of what happens in the movie is very visual.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought one of the most brilliant parts of that movie was the score.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh my
Yes,
God.
all
the
the
score
sound
was
design was pretty
incredible.
It's like
The first
Yeah.
scene in the
It's like,
movie, you have this.
It makes you really tense.
It really
Like,
tries to
like,
make you unsettled and
Yeah.
immediately.
It almost plays like
works.
a horror movie at times.
It
yeah,
does.
oh, absolutely.
The like screeching sounds
Oh, I
and
can
like
see that.
Super frightening. Yeah, Johnny Greenwood did the music. He is the guitarist for Radiohead.
really.
So yeah, and there's a few times in the movie where the music's going and you can you're like, wow, this almost sounds like the start of a Radiohead song.
It is dark.
No, it's super dark, and it's one of these movies where, like, I think people see the imagery and they're like, "Wow, I feel like I'm gonna fall asleep in this movie." Like, you know, old prospectors, old time, like, you know, big hats. But
Yeah.
like, it really grips you.
I was gonna say I didn't think I was gonna like it at all, based off what I knew about it in the trailer. But actually watching it, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's really
It's
fantastic.
a movie that I always make people watch.
Yeah,
Like, if they haven't seen it, like, you have to
that's why you
this.
were coming on today, right? Because you're a big
Yeah, it's
fan
like my
of the
favorite movie.
Yeah,
It's one of those movies where it's just such a trifecta, where obviously the script has a lot to do with it, and it was, I think, adapted from an Upton Sinclair's novel Oil, but after, like, maybe only the first couple of pages in that book, and then they kind of did their own thing with it. But it's just a hat trick in the sense that the music is amazing, the footage, like the shots,
Yeah.
are so good.
yeah.
Like, so I'd
Like
say,
every single shot is.
but
just,
the
like,
performances.
Daniel
Yeah.
Day Lewis
and Paul Dano too.
Paul Dano's so silly and
Yeah.
cool, but I mean, or just kind of squirrely, but you cannot stop watching Daniel Day Lewis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
You know, it's interesting. I was excited because I was like, JJ, I have a Die Hard reference to this movie. But, you know, when you went and watched Die Hard, you're like, oh, this is a big action movie. But then you leave it thinking like, oh, this is kind of like a Christmas movie. And with There Will Be Blood, to me, it's a father-son film more than anything, like 1,000 times over. Because every single thing in the movie, Daniel Day Lewis
family.
has control
I
over.
abandoned my son.
He's right about everything. He knows how to get all of the he knows where to go, like how to get people to give him consent when that family doesn't sell him the land. He knows how to milkshake it. But the one thing that constantly makes him conflicted is family. And most of that is with his son, and then part of it was with his brother, who
Alleged brother.
he tried to replace his son with. But it's like that conflict, and the whole movie, you're like, who does he love more? Does he love the oil more, or does he love the son more? Like, at
then
first
at
you're
the
like,
end,
he's
though,
just using
like,
his son,
yeah.
he's just using it, and then you see these scenes where
It's obvious
he
his
seemingly
connection.
does care, and it's so frustrating. And I still think, even with the last scene in the movie, you really
He's
don't
genuinely
know.
hurt. You think?
Huh?
Kind of. He seems genuine.
Oh, he's yeah. It's
But then he goes off on his like crazy.
well, there's this scene whenever HW is watching the oil derrick, and then it blows back, and that's when the moment he goes deaf, and Daniel Day Lewis runs out to him, and his like biggest fear is his son, and he just
Yeah, he even yells it.
yeah, and he goes and he's holding his son, and then and immediately as soon as he realizes that his son is outside of danger for the most part, he just secondary, like, you know,
It's Sophie's
He
choice.
goes back, and then like when he's watching, once it's already caught on fire or whatever,
He sends his
that guy,
friend.
that his friend says like, "How's HW?" And then what does he say? Or is he okay? And he's like, "What is he?"
he isn't.
Yeah, no, he's not. But he still stays there.
Yeah, no, like,
and then his friend goes
It's
back.
totally he's gonna watch this oil like go, and he's excited. He's like,
Yeah.
we got an ocean
He's
of
like, "Why
oil
look so-"
underneath us.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, so he's
I'm
just-
an oil man.
Yeah.
No, but whatever.
But he you can totally tell where his priorities are. His priorities at that point aren't so much about his son as it is the oil, and that
I
says,
still
says
think
volumes.
it's 50-50. I mean, he
Yeah, no,
spent
it's
half
not-
his time with the son, half his time with the oil derrick, and every scene where he's with his son and he has to make these decisions, he looks conflicted. And the most emotional we see, basically, he's a strong man, but he completely shatters that
Yeah.
when he's confronted with the fact by,
Yeah.
in the church, where he gave up his son, and then we see him break down.
Yeah.
So it really does seem like a conflict between the two things that you love, and which ones are the most important to you. And
He brings his son back after that too.
Yeah.
It's like the.
I mean, he spends a bunch of money. He didn't just he abandoned his son, sure, but he spent a lot of money, put him in a good school, like had a guy with him at 24/7 to make sure that he could sign and talk to people. So I mean, he took care of his son. I mean, he abandoned him to an extent, but I think it's easy to see that Daniel Day Lewis's character or Daniel Plainview is just he has walls up like with anybody, be it his son, be it his brother, and then whenever something happens, you know, he immediately feels betrayed. Like the moment that his brother is telling him that he's like, I'll just leave, Daniel. Like he's telling him, he's like, I'm gonna go. And then the moment and the camera cuts to his face and he's frightening. Like he's like, I can't believe you just lied to me this whole time. And he's like, I'm just gonna go. And he's like, I'm gonna shoot you in the head. Like he fucking. Oh, that moment is
And
so
there
intense.
is blood.
There was one of my favorite quotes he says in that movie is he asks his fake brother like, do you like people? I don't know exactly what he says, but then Daniel Plainview's just like, I've got the competition in me or whatever.
That's a great monologue.
I
don't want anyone else to succeed.
Yeah, I have a hard time looking at people and seeing anything worth liking.
Yeah, he's like, I have to deal with these people. And the way,
Yeah.
the way he says
And he starts
people,
laughing.
the way he says people, he might as well say these ants or these rats. Like
Yeah.
he says people, but he doesn't mean people.
Yeah, and he was betrayed by that because he was trying to give his brother an exception, and I think he felt a lot more comfortable with himself having his brother there after he sent his son away. Because, and I think that's where a lot of the anger came from. It's like, I was okay.
Yeah.
I survived because I replaced my son in my life with you, and you lied to me.
Dude, that scene
and
on
then
the-
it kind of brings back all that horrible, things that were eating him up by
Yeah.
like pushing his son aside.
Like the scene on the beach, like when he first realizes, or you see it click to him.
That this is different.
That's not him.
Yeah.
Because he like makes a joke.
Yeah,
Something
he has
about the
he
peach
has,
tree.
he has
the
about the
peach
Peachtree Festival or whatever,
Yeah.
and the guy doesn't get it. He's like,
Dancer.
yeah, sure. That's a great shot too, because it's symbolism, like so much symbolism. The brother's in the shadow
Yeah.
of Daniel Day-Lewis, and it's like
And it
so
hangs there. That
jarring.
shot hangs there for a while too. After he gets up
Super-
and
it's
walks
super
off.
fucking
And then it
hot.
cuts to in the water, like Daniel
And the
Plainview, and the
wave
wave comes up
comes
and he
over
goes
him.
past camera. Oh, it's
So
good.
here's some interesting trivia for the movie. So the kid,
Such a movie nerd.
I just like that.
we're geeking out.
Yeah.
So the guy that played HW, the little kid,
Yeah.
never been in any other movies ever. He was his only first movie. Check this out. He wasn't even an actor. His mom was like the police officer that pulled over the casting director when they were shooting in Marfa, Texas. And then they started talking like, what are you doing in town, whatever. And she said like, we're casting, we're looking for this young boy or whatever. And she's like, oh, you should talk to my son. So like that's how he got the role. And on top of that, whenever they said we want to give your son the role, we want him to hang out with Daniel Day-Lewis for a long time and get to know him and start a relationship, so it works well in the movie. The mom was like, I don't know who this is, so she went to like Blockbuster and rented the only movie they had with Daniel Day-Lewis, and it was Gangs of New York, where he plays the
Oh my
butcher,
God.
and she was frightened. And the studio sent her a copy of Age of Innocence, where he plays like kind of like a really nice guy, and then she was like, okay,
He's like the best actor.
He was great, that kid.
oh, the guy that
Also.
played HW, he was
Yeah.
so good. He's never done a movie since.
I wish George Lucas would have taken a pretty fast ride through Martha, Texas.
Oh, for Anakin.
Yeah, but yeah, I thought he was
He's
really
great,
good.
And I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis, you
He's
can't really
fantastic.
top his performance in that movie.
So there's
He's great in
there's a
Gangs of New York
scene
also.
there's a scene where Paul, no, and it's not Paul, it's Eli. When Eli's in the church and he's like, "Get out, ghost!" and he's like, "I will bite you, and if I don't have teeth, I
I'll
will
gum
gum you."
Yeah.
It's like it's so over the top. And then like there's the later scene where he brings Plainview and he's like, say I abandoned your son, like say it again and again, and he's slapping him and he's pulling his hair, and fucking Daniel Lewis's face is red.
Yeah.
And at one point
you see. Oh wait.
he whispers, right?
No, wait. Go ahead. Say what
I was just gonna say, like, it's so intense. Like, you can tell, like, Paul Dano's going crazy on Daniel Day-Lewis, and apparently they hated each other on set because, like, they were so into their roles. And
Yeah.
I think Daniel Day-Lewis is such a method actor. He always stays in character.
Yeah, he there was like a video of him accepting an award, and he like thanks his wife for dealing. I forget what movie it was for, but I guess it was Lincoln, I think maybe or something. But he was thanking his wife for dealing with that character for like the last 6 months
Yeah.
or whatever.
What was
'Cause
wrong with
he's-
Lincoln?
No,
Well,
it might
just
have been-
like any other. I mean, who
Getting
knows?
into character, yeah.
Like,
Well-
can you imagine being married to the butcher for fucking?
the whole thing is that scene when Paul Dano's like slapping him around, whatever. P.T. Anderson, the director, distinctively filmed that the day after they filmed the scene out in the field when Daniel Lewis is slapping Eli Rand and putting
Yeah.
his face in the mud.
He like shoves
So
it
they
in his
did it
face.
purposefully.
back.
So he was like, he's gonna get him back so fucking good.
Yeah.
The flip of that at the very end, like I won't say if people haven't watched it, I
Yeah.
don't know. But anyway, when Daniel Day-Lewis is like kind of doing the same thing to Paul Dano, there's a point where he's like yelling so much and like you see like slobber, like actual like
Yeah,
you see it, like, in
dribble.
like it just like flies out of his mouth while he's yelling.
Yeah,
I
no.
just
When he
love
saw
when
them,
I get that into it. Like,
My-
spit.
my left foot is Daniel Lewis got really famous because he played like a guy with he was very disabled, like he was in a wheelchair, but he was so in method that like he made crew members, and they hate him for this. Like the crew hated him because he would make him like carry him out of the chair and move him and stuff because he wouldn't break character.
That's awesome.
Wow.
I mean,
That's
cool.
what
I
fucking-
think he's a cool guy. Like I think he might make shoes. And
He's a cobbler.
yeah, he's like a cobbler and shit. Sorry, Brandon.
No, let me ask you guys a question. Do you think that Daniel Day-Lewis would have murdered Eli if he hadn't just been visited by his son?
I don't think
No.
so.
You don't think
I
he would have
think he was
murdered it,
so
or do you
sad.
think it would have happened regardless?
I don't think he would have. I think he was so angry and
Yeah.
upset that like he just was ready to snap.
Because
and
like,
he did.
like you said, he really does care about his son and everything, and he just said all that terrible stuff, and he's just in a really bad way
Yeah.
at that moment. think.
You know, in the
But he
script,
also doesn't like Eli too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the script originally, he kills Eli with a tumbler, like a glass, and then he takes his body and he throws the body into the bowling pins, and that's how it was written, how it ended. And then on the day of the shoot, they just changed it up. But I love that dude when he's like, oh, I'm the third revelation, and he's throwing the bowling balls at him, and the bowling ball hits that like can of paint, it shoots into the camera lens.
Yeah.
It's just this. Oh, it's so fucking good. And P.T. Anderson wanted to paint the whole bowling alley white as a homage to Clockwork Orange, and at the last minute, someone wanted to buy it so like as is, so he didn't. But I mean, I don't know. It's really tough. And my big question is, people want to always ask, like, were the brothers really twins, or were they two different brothers? Like, they're in the script, they're twins. They're not playing the same person. But my big question is when his line, "I'm finished," like, you know, the last line of the movie, that means so many things, right? Like, he's saying like, I'm finished with my meeting, but to me he's saying like my career, like my life, I'm finished.
I think he's put it all to rest. I think he hates his son at the end because he hates his life now. He hates his mansion. He hates everything about how boring everything is, and he's not by oil. And it's like they're linked in his mind because they were linked throughout his life, his love for oil and his love for his son. And because he's hate one thing, now it kind of bleeds over to the other. And this Eli coming back, I think, was the way to end that whole story. He pushed away his son and he got rid of his son. And then now he's getting rid of Eli, who are all kind of like interconnected in this big way. Especially Eli being the false healer, which I think was always one thing that bothered him, because it's like, I have a son now that needs healing and you're a liar.
Right,
like you can't actually do it. So I think it was a way of closing that chapter of his life, closing, you know, I do think it was Sophie's choice, but closing the two things he cared about, one after the other. That was a pretty awesome scene though. Just beat the shit out of him.
Oh, when we see, he's loving
like that
it.
sound too.
Across the room.
Brutal.
And I come all
There's a guy, a chubby dude on YouTube who imitates that scene and like plays both characters. I'd highly recommend checking it out.
I highly recommend everyone go on IMDb and check out the trivia. Put There Will Be Blood trivia. IMDb link should show up, and do that for all the movies we talk about. There's so many cool things, like about how the cast and crew would eat steak and straight whiskey or straight vodka on every Wednesday to stay in the whole like kind of mindset, and just so many cool little trivia
We
tidbits.
should have had that on the podcast for that.
should have.
Vodka and steak.
Thanks for nothing,
that
JJ.
That would be a very interesting.
Dude, I haven't eaten today. That would have fucked me up.
Fuck you up.
Been like, oh, milkshake.
Milkshakes.
We need some milkshake.
So There Will Be Blood. What do you think? You like it? Would you suggest it to your friends?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. I think it's a movie that forcefully takes you, you know, from the opening beat, that opening music, and I'll always associate it for whatever reason with No Country for Old Men.
Which it was filming at the exact same time.
Was it? Okay, maybe
in
that's
Marfa.
Like they're both like two fantastic lower key films that I think it freaking reaches out of the screen, like a water ghost, and then just like sucks you in.
When the oil derrick explodes and There Will Be Blood, there was so much smoke billowing that it ruined the shot for No Country for Old Men, that they had to like wrap that day early and be like, "Well, wait till tomorrow. Thanks."
I like how they're just like you got a megaphone, but like, "Fuck you."
Yeah,
Cool.
That's too funny. Okay, so everyone like There Will Be
Yes.
Blood. All right, we're gonna move on. We're almost we're going pretty late on today's episode. If we go any longer, we might end up being just as long as There Will Be Blood.
Probably wrap up soon.
It's so long.
So let's talk about really quickly our question of the week. Oh, also movie book club for next week. Let's go black and white. Let's go funny. Let's go Clerks. Kevin Smith. You can check it out. It's on the internet. It should be on your streaming capabilities. But Clerks, 37 dicks in a row. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll watch the movie. You'll totally know what I mean.
We'll know next week.
But really quickly, question of the week. What was your first movie date experience? What was the movie and how did it go?
Oh man, I need a chance to remember. I don't know.
I never went on a movie date like as a first date with anybody because I felt like that was a really bad way to get to know someone because you're just sitting
I know
facing
mine.
forward.
I know mine.
Let's hear it.
All right. I went and saw Team America with my girlfriend at the time, and that must have been like 8th or 9th grade, I guess, probably when that came out. But her parents took us, and there's that really long, like, awkward puppet sex scene.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there with, like, this girl I was dating at the time.
And her parents.
And her parents, and it was so awkward.
That was a bad
And
call
she
on
was
your
giving
end.
me a HJ.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Hand stuff.
I went really dark.
I do remember. It's not my first, but it's pretty memorable.
That probably wasn't.
It was Harry Potter 3, and I wasn't big into the first two Harry Potters, but the third one I thought was really good. And the girl I was dating at the time, you know, she brought us to the very back row of the movie theater, which is like, you know, Make Out 101. And she kept trying to, like, suggest something, but I was so into the movie, like, never made out once. I just, like, really wanted to watch it. We're not
What'd you
dating
say the movie
anymore.
was? It was Harry Potter?
Harry Potter, Prisoner of Azkaban. It was the one directed by Karan.
Mine was Blast from the Past. It was that movie with Brendan Fraser and Christopher Walken where there's like
Yeah.
a bomb goes off, but they think that like World War III started, so they have
And
the
it's
bunker.
that, Alicia Silverstone.
Alicia Silverstone, that's
Yeah.
right. But I was such a sneaky fucking cheapskate that my mom would give me money to take the like girl on a date, but I would tell the girl like, yeah, just meet me in the theater.
So you make her pay for it? Wow.
So sketchy, dude. Do you still do that to
Oh, totally still do that. No, but also at the time you have to understand though, like at that time it was also like parents weren't like they could go with their friend. It was a sneaky time where the girls would go with their friends and we'd meet up with them, you know, because the parents didn't want
Weren't
them to go
allowed
to the
to
movie.
date yet.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
right.
weren't allowed to date yet. So it was so a lot of people would say like, hey, let's meet in the arcade, and I'd be like, yeah, let's just meet in the theater, so that way our parents don't know. But it was just in a way, so I could, you know, but I used the money to buy popcorn and stuff, so it wasn't totally awful.
Yeah, I just would never go on a movie date as like one of the first dates because I'm so awkward, and I feel
They're
like
terrible first dates.
it's also just like
you
you
don't
don't
get to
know
know the
if
person.
you're like holding hands. It's like, do I know you yet? Could
Yeah.
like, or okay, we're just staring at the screen together, not talking to each other in the dark.
Plus,
Cool.
it's such an important choice of movie.
Yeah.
You really don't know. Chef, I think, is a perfect date movie. But
Right.
other
Like, you
than
really
that,
hungry.
it's like, I don't know. And you like, what if you just go see a movie you don't know, like Blue Valentine, which is like the
No,
most depressing
that's an
movie in the
awful,
world.
awful-
Or Philadelphia.
It's a great movie. I suggest you watch it, but it's an awful date movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us to the end of Screenplay. We'll see you guys next week. If you haven't, definitely go check out There Will Be Blood. But watch Clerks this week, and we'll be talking about next week. And we'll see you guys then. Thank you for watching.
Bye.